Okay, thank you all for coming today, and thank you for basically sharing the last part of this conference here with Dr. Maroon, Jeff Bost, and myself. Again, my name is James Smoliga, and I am from Marywood University in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Most people know Scranton nowadays for the show The Office, for those of you that watch that. But Marywood is very small. It's a Division III university up in Scranton. We've got about 3,000 students between the graduate and the undergraduate curricula. Just a brief introduction about myself. As Dr. Maroon and Jeff have both mentioned, my background is veterinary medicine to start. And then shortly after completing my DVM, I went on to get a PhD at the University of Pittsburgh, which is where I first met Dr. Maroon. Dr. Maroon started his lecture with the idea of serendipity, about things that just are very unusual and very by chance happenings. I met Dr. Maroon and got involved with the Resveratrol studies, probably through serendipity, literally by being in the right place at the right time. We just bumped into each other one day, and he told me about a little project that he had going on. It sounded very interesting, very fascinating, and it happened to be at a time where I was looking for a new project to get involved with, and wound up working with Dr. Maroon and Jeff Bost as far as starting a Resveratrol clinical trial, you could call it, and been very fascinated by it since then. I would also like to start off by saying I have no direct conflict of interest as far as I don't have any type of money in any type of company related to any of the Resveratrol. I am, however, this research itself has been funded by Xenomus, which is who supplied our Resveratrol for us. But in general, I think Resveratrol, as the past two speakers have indicated, is a very fascinating field to get involved with. If you look back at many of the journals from the 50s and the 60s, and you look back at cancer medicine and things like that, you'll find all types of different things that look like they might be the new cure for cancer, inhibit tumors, all these other things. And it makes one wonder, back then it looked like things were promising for many diseases, and there have been many medical breakthroughs. And we have to wonder today, will Resveratrol be the next big thing? And that's why there's so much hype about it today. And hopefully, between the previous two lectures and then this one will build upon that, we'll talk about how Resveratrol may be used to treat many diseases out there, may be used to help in treating cancer, also may be used to help human performance for young and old athletes, and getting back to the theme of this conference that we've alluded to at many points, anti-aging effects. So a few presentation objectives today. To start, we're going to review some selected human and animal trials using Resveratrol and other polyphenols to improve function and health measures. We'll also discuss a completed human trial that we did, our research group, assessing memory and endurance performance using Resveratrol and other polyphenols. And lastly, we're going to review the future of clinical human trials and possible clinical applications of Resveratrol and other polyphenols in athletics and human performance in general. So to start, what we'll talk about is just a little bit about the history of Resveratrol in the line of research. So Resveratrol was first discovered in early part of the century, or 1940 or so, and that was when it was first discovered. And you'll see there's a little bit of research here. On the x-axis, we've got the year. On the y-axis, we've got the number of Resveratrol citations in the literature. And what we see here is somewhere around 1992 or so, we see that Resveratrol is present in red wine. Didn't make much of a difference. But in 1997, what we see is Resveratrol prevents cancer. Okay? And at this point, this is where the exponential change in the Resveratrol research is seen. So from the time that Resveratrol is shown to prevent cancer to the present day, we just see an exponential rise. And again, cancer is a very big topic. A lot of research began at that point. So when you start getting into the literature and looking at a few things related to Resveratrol, we could see that I did an Ovid mapped subject search using Medline, PubMed database. And this is as of March 2nd when I submitted this presentation. And if we do a search for anything having to do with, in this example, cancer, so cancer, neoplasm, tumors, anything along those lines, we get 1.3 million results in Medline. Okay, so there's a lot of research that's been done with cancer. We'll hold that thought for a second. If we look up resveratrol, we see that there's 2,009 results in Medline, and again, this is from the 1960s onward that I searched here. So 2,000 results, quite a few, and we could see that about 360 of those are in 2007 alone. So there's been a spike in resveratrol research, and every year there's more and more research specifically regarding resveratrol. Okay? Now if we go back to the cancer idea that we've got, and if we look at these 1.3 million cancer results and combine that search with all of our 2,000 resveratrol results, we see about 788 results involving cancer. So there's quite a few published studies talking about resveratrol and cancer. From what Jeff Boast just talked about, some of the products claim that resveratrol helps prevent cancer. Some of the things that Dr. Sinclair has done up at Harvard and some other researchers, again, anti-cancer types of research that they're doing. Okay, so that's about 788 results, a lot of hype, a lot of promise. Separate note here, which we'll come back to the cancer and resveratrol in a second. If we look at clinical trials, if we just do an Ovid subject map of clinical trials, we find there's over 400,000 results for that. And in any type of clinical trial, usually involving humans undertaking some type of treatment protocol and seeing the effect of it. Now, if we combine resveratrol and clinical trials, we only get 8 results. So there's all this information about cancer and resveratrol, and there's all this information about just resveratrol alone, but there's not a whole lot that's been done with human clinical trials. And this is very important because, as we've seen at the expo downstairs, there's a few vendors selling resveratrol. What Jeff just presented, there's quite a bit of resveratrol information out there. There's all these different products with many very big claims as far as reducing inflammation, feeling better, enhanced sports performance, living longer. But we've only got 8 trials to really support anything with this. And actually, of note is, not all of these are even truly human trials with human patients. Some of these that are actually clinical trials are just human cell lines that they've looked at. So it's really important to kind of jump into this a little bit with some precautionary measure. And we'll talk about a few of these results today, some from the current human trials that have been published, and some other results from the animal, the in vivo and in vitro models. So we've got research toward the future, and we talk about any of this resveratrol research. We have some of our non-animal models. One thing that's used in longevity research is the yeast model. And again, that's obviously not an animal. It might be very obscure to try to relate yeast to one-celled organism to us as humans. And then just to jump up from that, we've got some of our non-vertebrate models, or C. elegans, or Drosophila fruit flies. And again, there's been plenty of research done in those. And now we start getting into some of the bigger things too, such as the non-human animal models or mammalian models and our human cells. So those are two of the things that really, when we talk about all this resveratrol research, that's where a lot of this is based on. But the ultimate forefront is the human clinical trials. That's really the final frontier. Does resveratrol help us as humans? Does it help us live longer? Does it reduce inflammation? Does it enhance sports performance, at any type of age? Does it enhance our lifestyle and everything? If we live longer, does it improve the quality of our life? Those types of things. So there's a lot of resveratrol research that is potentially going to be directed at human diseases. For one, preventing diseases before we get them. So again, preventing diabetes, preventing obesity, preventing cancer, any of these other chronic diseases. And then also, as Dr. Maroon alluded to before, with the purchase of David Sinclair's company, Sertris, by GlaxoSmithKline, now we're also talking about potential things for treating diseases too. Originally, Sertris, one of the things they were looking at was diabetes drugs, looking for improving insulin sensitivity in cells. So both of these things would be very useful in investigating for human trials. Then also, too, looking at aging humans, too, as humans get older. One big thing, especially at this conference, is restoring levels of, especially like hormone replacement therapy, restoring our mitochondrial health, different things like that. Any of these aging-related changes, either reversing them or slowing them down.